The Shield is back and nobody saw it coming. After years of betrayals, bitter feuds, and going their separate ways, Seth Rollins just made the wrestling world stop in its tracks by reuniting with Roman Reigns and Dean Ambrose in what might be the most explosive comeback in WWE history. The man who once drove a chair into the backs of his brothers, the architect who shattered the most dominant faction wrestling had ever seen, just walked back through that curtain like the past 7 years never happened. But here's what nobody expected: the raw emotion that followed. Seth Rollins didn't just show up for a cheap pop or a ratings grab. He poured his heart out in messages that have fans questioning everything they thought they knew about loyalty, brotherhood, and redemption in professional wrestling. If you're ready to dive into one of the most emotional moments in recent WWE memory, make sure you hit that subscribe button because this story gets deeper with every word. Let me take you back to where this all started because you can't understand the weight of this reunion without knowing how badly things fell apart. The Shield debuted in 2012 and they were unstoppable. 3 guys who had nothing to lose and everything to prove, smashing through the WWE roster like a wrecking ball. Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns, and Dean Ambrose weren't just a team, they were a movement. They changed the entire landscape of WWE and fans couldn't get enough. Every entrance through the crowd sent chills down your spine. Every triple powerbomb left bodies broken. They held all the gold and they did it together. But success in wrestling always comes with a price, and that price was trust. June 2014 is when everything changed. Seth Rollins turned his back on his brothers in the most vicious way possible. He didn't just leave the Shield, he destroyed it. Triple H handed him a briefcase and Rollins made his choice. He grabbed a steel chair and drove it into the spines of the only 2 men who had his back since day one. Roman Reigns and Dean Ambrose lay broken in the ring while Rollins stood over them with the authority behind him. Fans were shocked. The internet exploded. The Shield was dead and Seth Rollins was the man who pulled the trigger. That betrayal wasn't just a storyline, it felt personal. It felt real. The hatred that followed was intense and it lasted for years. Fast forward through championship reigns, main event matches, injuries, and comeback stories. All 3 men carved out legendary careers on their own. Roman Reigns became the face of WWE, the guy they built everything around even when fans rejected him. Dean Ambrose became the lunatic fringe, the unpredictable wildcard who could steal any show. Seth Rollins proved he was the architect for a reason, capturing world titles and proving he belonged at the top. But something was always missing. Fans never forgot what the Shield was. They never stopped chanting for a reunion. They never let go of what those 3 men created together. Then the rumors started swirling. Whispers backstage about a possible reunion. Social media posts that seemed too calculated to be coincidence. Cryptic comments in interviews. WWE knew what they had with these 3 and they knew the money that reunion could bring. But nobody knew when or how it would happen. The speculation reached fever pitch and then it happened. Seth Rollins returned and the Shield was whole again. The arena erupted like a bomb went off. Fans who had waited years for this moment lost their minds. Grown men were crying in the stands. The electricity in that building was something you could feel through your television screen. But what happened next is what really matters. Seth Rollins didn't just come back for a paycheck or to boost ratings. He came back with something to say. The messages he sent to Roman Reigns and Dean Ambrose after that return were raw, unfiltered, and brutally honest. He talked about regret. He talked about the years they lost. He talked about how breaking up the Shield was the biggest mistake of his career and maybe his life. These weren't the polished corporate statements WWE usually feeds to their superstars. This was real emotion from a man who understood what he threw away when he swung that chair. In his message to Roman Reigns, Seth acknowledged everything they went through. The battles they fought side by side. The wars they waged against the entire roster. The moment they stood on top of the mountain together. But he also acknowledged the pain he caused. He talked about watching Roman fight through cancer, watching him come back stronger than ever, and knowing he wasn't there for his brother when it mattered most. Seth admitted that success without his brothers felt hollow. Championships without them felt empty. He could stand at the top of WWE alone, but it never felt as good as it did when they stood there together. The respect and love in those words hit different because everyone knew the history. Everyone knew how badly Seth had hurt Roman, but here he was, owning it all. The message to Dean Ambrose might have been even more powerful. Dean was the one who took that betrayal the hardest. He was the one who fought Seth the longest. He was the one who never seemed to fully forgive what happened that night in 2014. Seth's words to Dean were about brotherhood beyond wrestling. He talked about the road they traveled before WWE, the independent shows where they barely made enough money to eat, the dreams they shared in beat-up cars driving from town to town. Dean wasn't just a Shield brother, he was his friend when nobody else believed in them. Seth said losing that friendship hurt more than any injury he ever suffered in the ring. He said the money and fame meant nothing if he couldn't share it with the people who helped him get there. What makes this reunion and these messages so powerful is the timing. WWE is in a different place now. the landscape has changed. New stars are rising. The old guard is moving on. Roman Reigns has become the tribal chief, a character so layered and complex that fans who once booed him now hang on his every word. Dean Ambrose left WWE, became Jon Moxley, and proved he didn't need the machine behind him to be a star. Seth Rollins has reinvented himself multiple times, always finding ways to stay relevant and important. These three men didn't need the Shield anymore. They had proven they could succeed on their own. That's what makes choosing to come back together so meaningful. The wrestling world has been buzzing non-stop since this reunion happened. Social media exploded with reactions from fans, wrestlers, and critics. Everyone has an opinion about whether this is the right move or just a nostalgia play. But the numbers don't lie. Ratings spiked. Merchandise flew off the shelves. The WWE Universe wanted this reunion and they got it. But more than that, they got something real. They got three men who understood what they had, what they lost, and what it means to find it again. That's storytelling you can't fake. That's emotion you can't manufacture. That's why people who stopped watching wrestling are tuning back in. The Shield's original run changed WWE forever. They proved that factions still mattered in modern wrestling. They showed that you could build new stars without relying on part-timers and legends. They created moments that will live forever in highlight reels and fan memories. But this reunion has the chance to be even bigger. These aren't three hungry rookies trying to make a name anymore. These are three established main eventers, three world champions, three men at the peak of their powers choosing to stand together. The matches they can have now are different. The stories they can tell carry more weight. The impact they can make reaches further because of everything they've accomplished separately. Seth's messages revealed something else that fans are eating up: vulnerability. In a business built on tough guys and larger-than-life characters, seeing real emotion breaks through all the scripted nonsense. Seth didn't try to act tough about the reunion. He didn't pretend the betrayal never happened. He owned his past, admitted his mistakes, and showed genuine gratitude for being given another chance with his brothers. That's the kind of storytelling that connects with audiences. That's what turns casual fans into die-hard supporters. That's what makes people care about fictional fighting beyond just cool moves and dramatic finishes. Roman Reigns and Dean Ambrose haven't stayed silent either. Their responses to Seth's messages added more layers to this reunion. Roman talked about family and how family always finds its way back together. He talked about forgiveness not being weakness but strength. He acknowledged that they all made mistakes and suffered for them, but standing together made them all better. Dean's response was more guarded, more hesitant, which fits his character perfectly. He made it clear that trust isn't given back easily. He said actions speak louder than words and Seth would have to prove himself all over again. That tension adds drama to the reunion. It keeps things interesting because not everything is perfect and wrapped up in a neat bow. The matches that followed the reunion have been exactly what fans hoped for. The Shield came back and immediately reminded everyone why they were so dangerous together. The coordinated attacks, the tactical precision, the sheer brutality they bring as a unit is unmatched. Watching them take apart opponents with the same ruthless efficiency they showed in their original run gives fans chills. But now there's an added layer. Now every big moment makes you wonder if Seth will turn again. Now every time they stand back to back, fans remember what happened the last time they trusted each other completely. That uncertainty makes everything more intense. WWE is capitalizing on this reunion in every way possible. The merchandise machine is in full effect with new Shield gear flooding the market. Video packages highlighting their history play on every show. Commentary constantly references their past and speculates about their future. The company knows they have lightning in a bottle and they're using it for everything it's worth. But the cynical part of the wrestling community wonders how long it will last. Will this be a brief reunion for a big match and then they split again? Will they keep the Shield together as a permanent fixture? Will another betrayal rock the foundation? Only time will tell, but the journey is compelling either way. What Seth Rollins did with those messages was open a door that many thought was closed forever. He showed that even in the scripted world of professional wrestling, real human emotions can shine through and create something special. His words to Roman and Dean weren't about setting up the next storyline or getting heat with the crowd. They were about acknowledging a bond that transcended the business. They were about three men who grew up together in this industry, who fought wars side by side, who hurt each other deeply, and who found their way back to each other despite everything. That's powerful storytelling no matter how you look at it. The future of the Shield is uncertain, but the present is electric. Every appearance they make together sends arenas into a frenzy. Every match they wrestle together reminds fans why they fell in love with wrestling in the first place. Every promo they cut together shows the chemistry that made them special from the beginning. Seth Rollins took the biggest risk by coming back. He's the one who destroyed the Shield and now he's the one most invested in making sure it works this time. His messages prove that he understands the weight of what he did and the gift he's been given by being welcomed back. That understanding makes every moment of this reunion feel earned rather than manufactured. The wrestling business is built on moments. The moments that make you jump off your couch. The moments that bring tears to your eyes. The moments that remind you why you became a fan in the first place. Seth Rollins returning to the Shield and the heartfelt messages he sent his brothers created one of those moments. It reminded everyone that behind the characters and storylines are real people with real relationships. It showed that redemption is possible even after the worst betrayals. It proved that brotherhood, when it's genuine, can survive anything. The Shield is back, and this time it feels different. This time it feels like it means something more. This time Seth Rollins made sure everyone knows he won't take it for granted again. Don't forget to subscribe to stay updated on everything happening with the Shield and all the biggest stories in wrestling, because this reunion is just getting started and you won't want to miss what comes next.